The spectrum of demand is a simple way to visualize how a capitalist economy works. It also shows that, in fact, capitalism doesn't work well, at least not for everyone. Let's start with this middle portion. These segments, utility and desire, represent demand that comes from our everyday needs and wants as human beings. Utility represents the yearning for greater comfort. It contains all those products and services that make our lives easier. Stuff like laundry detergent, a car, a crockery set, a haircut, banking services. Desire includes things that are not very useful, but we want them anyway because they make us feel good. Chocolate, a spa massage, a designer handbag, a holiday, or an episode of Game of Thrones. In these segments of the spectrum, capitalism works well by responding to individual demand. If individuals want something, and enough of them wave their money around, capitalism will supply it. The consumer gets what he wants, while the producer earns a profit. All the way to the left, there's a segment called subsistence, which represents demand for things that are necessary for survival, like food, shelter, and energy. It's separate because these goods are really important to a particular group of people, the poor. The poor lack money, which is the capitalist signaling mechanism. If you need something but you don't have enough cash, that product will never get made. Vital things like low-income housing, affordable health care, and cheap food staples only exist if they are subsidized by government or charities, so capitalism doesn't work well here. On the right side, we have the collective demand of communities and nature. This seems puzzling. What does it mean for a community or for nature to demand something? It sounds strange because capitalism usually ignores them. But these stakeholders have needs too. Communities need public infrastructure like roads, parks, and healthcare facilities. They also need more elusive things like public safety, education, employment, and welfare programs. In wealthy countries, some of these benefits are provided by government, but in poor countries, they're hard to come by. Capitalism is quick to deliver chewing gum and fizzy drinks even to the poorest places, but it won't provide these fundamental services because it only recognizes the desire of individuals, not the unspoken needs of communities. Why? Because it's difficult for communities to act unanimously and deploy resources. It's difficult for them to wave cash around and tell the capitalist economy what they want. Here's an example. As a community, we want to live in a space that's not clogged by traffic and car exhaust. We want efficient, affordable public transport, bike lanes, and pedestrian areas. But this requires consensus among citizens and administrators, a visionary local government, and lots of money, taxpayer money that we're reluctant to spend. But as individuals, we also want to travel in the most comfortable way, which is by car. It's easy for an economy to satisfy my demand for a car. Just build it and sell it to me. Who cares if it causes pollution or traffic? Capitalism responds to individual desire, but it ignores the priorities of the community. And what about nature? If it could speak, what would it ask for? Ideally, to be left alone, so it's not depleted or destroyed by human beings. Realistically, nature needs to be managed sustainably, so it continues to reward us with its bounty. There's one segment of the spectrum that we haven't mentioned yet: consciousness. Consciousness is the ability to see the world around us and our place in it with clarity and detachment. It's difficult to understand this in economic terms. This yearning is usually associated with philosophical or spiritual pursuits, not economics. But even the demand for consciousness can find a place in a market economy. How can we create an economic system that works for all these stakeholders, and not just for individuals with extra cash? It doesn't require the dismantling of capitalism. What we need is not less, but more free market initiatives to expand the market economy so that it will supply the parts of the spectrum that are being left out. This requires a number of innovative policies, but also a radical rethinking of key economic concepts that we take for granted. Please browse the pages of this site to discover some of these revolutionary initiatives.